I'm Dave Kassler, KE0OG, with a new episode of Ask Dave. Viewer Nathan McKinney, KG7ORH, asks for a description of the amateur radio marketplace. Nathan, thanks for your question. The amateur radio ecosystem is mature and comprehensive. Anything you want for your station, from books to power supplies to coax to radios to antennas, is readily available. To a new amateur, I'm sure it can be overwhelming. Let's look at this diagram. We'll start in the middle with the magazine. For any possible group of interested people, there exists a magazine to connect them with their suppliers. It could be plumbing supplies, forestry, public safety, golfers, or quilters. There's at least one magazine specializing in each of these. The reader counts on the magazine to not only bring him or her the latest in product and software availability, but also to run educational articles that help readers understand the marketplace. The magazine publishes product reviews that can be most helpful. In the case of amateur radio, that magazine is QST and is published by the American Radio Relay League and has a circulation of well over 100,000. I strongly recommend you join the ARRL. I know it seems a bit expensive, but when you consider what you get for your money, it's well worth it. The ARRL does many things, but let's focus on the magazine. There are two types of commercial entities that advertise in QST: the equipment manufacturers and the retailers. Manufacturers make everything from lightning arresters to high-end radios, but no one manufacturer makes everything a ham might need. Somehow you need to get your needs hooked up with what's available. That's where the retailer comes in. There are a couple of well-established full-scope retailers like HRO and AES, plus some new up-and-comers like Gigaparts. From these you can buy anything you need. Some manufacturers sell only through retailers. Others sell only direct, and most will do either. I mentioned that one of the functions of QST is to connect suppliers with consumers. Let's take a look at how that is done. Here's a recent copy of QST. You'll note that it's full of advertising material. There are a few upfront ads, then some ads interspersed with various magazine features, and then, after the big block of technical material, the last part of the magazine is devoted exclusively to advertisers. In fact, there's even an index of advertisers, common for this sort of magazine. All right, let's look at the major players. These are the key manufacturers that make the radios. The big three, all Japanese manufacturers, are Yaesu, ICOM, and Kenwood. All three sell only through retailers. Each has a complete product line of radios, including HF and VHF and above. Each manufacturer has a range of relatively inexpensive radios to the kinds of radios us mere mortals can only drool over. Elenco is sort of an odd one. They do offer both HF and VHF and above radios, but they've always been a sort of an also-ran in ham radio circles. Their HF offerings are simple and don't offer much flexibility. Now, there are a couple of American manufacturers. The first is Ten-Tec. My primary HF rig is a Ten-Tec. They make HF radios that are quite well thought of and are only available direct from the manufacturer. I definitely like mine. The Jupiter is no longer offered, but the Eagle model has taken its place in the lineup. I saw one of these Eagles at our club's field day, and its owner was positively rhapsodic in his descriptions. Now, on to another American manufacturer, Elecraft, which also sells direct. They make high-end HF rigs and recently announced their new flagship K3S. Their rigs are primarily designed for contesting and DXing and are on the expensive side. They boast some features no other manufacturer can in certain areas, and the K3 is the rig of choice for many DXpeditions. All radios have firmware in them, but Flex Radio takes this to the extreme. Their boxes are essentially front ends, and with everything else done in software, they are truly software-defined radios. They're quite expensive and not for the beginner. Now, I'll mention something we're just starting to see in ham radio. The Chinese are trying to penetrate the market, which has long been dominated by the Japanese players. The Chinese make fine radios, although they don't have the decades of experience with the American or European market that the Japanese big three have, but their prices are compelling. Currently, Osheng, I know it looks like Wuxun, but it's pronounced Osheng, was the first and offered a nice radio for far less than the Japanese equivalent. Then Baofeng has entered the market with extremely inexpensive handhelds. Both Osheng and Baofeng so far only offer VHF-UHF equipment. If you do opt for an Osheng or Baofeng handheld or mobile rig, try to hook up with someone who already owns one who can help you interpret the owner's manual. There are many other manufacturers involved in ham radio. You can get pre-manufactured antennas from MFJ, High Gain, Cushcraft, Comet, Diamond, Step-IR, Buddy Pole, and many others. You can buy accessories from MFJ, West Mountain Radio, PowerWorks, Vibraplex, and TimeWave. You can get tuners from MFJ and LDG. Amplifiers are made by Ameritron, Alpha, and ACOM. Technical material is available from the ARRL, Electric Radio, and the Radio Society of Great Britain. I've barely scratched the surface. There are so many more options. I like to look at reviews before buying anything of significance. A key source is the ARRL. They keep an archive of product reviews. You have to be a member of the ARRL to access this vast resource, another reason for joining. The ARRL goes to great lengths to ascertain technical performance parameters, and these are all available in the reviews. Another source for reviews is eham.net/reviews. Note that the EHAM reviews are from users, not necessarily lab-qualified testers. I find the EHAM reviews to be quite revealing. Be sure to check them. These days, you can purchase absolutely everything you might need to set up a station. But many operators like to build at least some part of their station from scratch. Usually this is the antenna. QST has several articles each month that describe a variety of projects at every experience level. It also has a bunch of very interesting feature articles. So, what do you buy and what do you make? Well, that's up to you, of course. I do recommend that you join a local amateur radio club. Also, try to cultivate a mentoring relationship with one of the more experienced hams in your area. This can be invaluable. Now, I'll admit that while I've mentored many hams, when I first got into the hobby in my 20s, I had no one to mentor me. I made lots of mistakes, but I persevered and made it work. Looking back in my novice logs from that era, I see I was on the air during most of my free time. After a while, I got to know a couple of hams my age, and we had a blast together. Just a note about software. Many of the radios these days are programmable, and there is aftermarket software that will help you do that. Also, there are many different software programs, some free, some not, that help you engage with digital modes. Those will have to be the subject of a future video. Today's photo is taken from our back deck and shows Mount Sneffels in the sunset. We do get spectacular sunsets here. Please engage by commenting either on YouTube or on my website. You can submit a question directly at ke0og.net/ask-dave. If you're viewing on your computer, you can toss a buck in the tip jar either using the YouTube method or on my website at ke0og.net. I'm hearing that the tip jar feature doesn't work on other devices, but hopefully YouTube will fix that soon. Do subscribe, and do tell your friends about this channel. They can get their questions answered too. Until next time, I'm Dave Kassler, KE0OG 73.